Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carrie and I'm a self-taught traditional and digital artist and illustrator. And today, you and I are working on a good old-fashioned still life while we chat about why I love drawing fruit, why I'm giving up learning on how to paint, and my first impressions of the Conte Paris crayons. So, let's get into it. But before we start, a word on my materials. For today, I'm using Canson Mixed Media paper in 9 by 12 inches. I'm also using Conte Paris crayons. I'll have both linked down below. So let's talk a bit about the piece you see me working on. Firstly, let me just say that the reference for this sketch is one I took myself, and I have it available for free download. I'm gonna pop the reference on the screen so you can check it out and see if it's something you'd like to sketch. If you're interested, the link will be in the description. I've been trying to take my own reference photos lately just so I can practice my composition, and because I always feel a bit sus using references from Pinterest. I just like to know that what I'm using is 100% okay to use for whatever I please. I do also use sites like Pexels and Unsplash for royalty-free photos if the subject is something super particular. Like I have an upcoming sketchbook page that's just snakes. And as I don't have any snakes because my wife won't let me have one, I let others take the lead on that one. So yeah, check the description and download today's reference photo so you can sketch along. Now let's talk about the reference itself. I started my art journey drawing lots of fruits. My friend likes to poke fun because most of the time if I have a new sketch that I'm working on, it's fruit. And I know that drawing fruit can be super basic, but let me explain. Let me explain why I love it so much. First, when you take a lot of beginner art classes, the subjects that instructors provide are typically fruits and vegetables because of their relative simplicity. The basic forms that we learn to draw first are boxes, spheres, and cylinders, and a lot of fruits and vegetables can be broken down into organic variations on one of those three forms. With this simplicity, you can really focus on basic skills like mark making, contour drawing, measuring for accuracy, but you can also practice more complex skills like shading and creating realism through texture, which is something that I'm still working on. So you get a lot of bang for your buck by using fruits and vegetables as your subject. Second, and the reason that I harp on most often really, is fruits and vegetables have a high threshold for error. What this means is that if you're drawing, let's say, a lemon, like this one, and you mess up a bit, chances are that it's still gonna look like a lemon. And not only that, but chances are it's still going to look like that lemon that you're trying to draw. Not many people are going to be able to look at it and say, oh wow, like that looks really off. That doesn't look like a lemon. And I mean, the same can't really be said for more complex forms that require more of an understanding of perspective and anatomy and can start to look really off with really minor mistakes. For instance, with this lemon, I didn't even really go in with a sketch. I just started sketching directly with the Conte crayons because I wanted to try getting it right on my first attempt. I kind of didn't get it right, and if you compare my lemon with the reference photo, you can see that the height to width ratio is off, but you can also look at that photo and my drawing and tell that they're the same thing. And lastly, and this might just be a personal thing for me, but I think drawing fruits and vegetables is fun. I love the organic variations in the shapes, I love the colors and the subtle color shifts you can get. I love how much more interesting the subject ends up being when you add a complementary color to the background. I just think drawing fruits and vegetables is underrated, and I don't see enough of it in spaces that are not like specifically fine art oriented. So, with taking my own reference photos, I want to try my best to make these seemingly simple subjects stand out like they deserve. Now I want to take some time to chat about how I came to realize that I prefer dry media over wet media and, why I'm kind of giving up on wet media for a little bit, and also why I think it's important for us to talk about. I probably, like a lot of us, spend a lot of time in the art corners of the internet, and within the past 2 or so years, I feel like I've seen so many people whose favorite medium is gouache or watercolor or acrylic gouache. And I fully understand. Every time I see someone painting, like with gouache in particular, I'm like, that right there, that's what I want my art to look like. But literally every time I try painting, I just don't like it. Not only do I not enjoy the result, which I don't, but that's less important to me, I don't even like the process. I'm not having fun. Like I said in my last video, I know that, my inking skills are not that great, but I have so much fun when I'm inking. So even if the final product isn't a masterpiece, I'm having fun in the moment trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. That's just not the case with paints. Like I tried to take a beginner watercolor class on Skillshare, and I mean a very basic one that would teach me the different methods like washes or wet on wet versus wet on dry, etc. And I had to stop because I nearly threw my fucking book at the wall. I was literally painting like little fucking rectangles and it just wasn't fun. And I just want to know that I don't think that my unmanageable level of frustration had anything to do with the class or the instructor. I just wasn't having fun. I have no idea else to describe it. And it definitely took me quite a few tries to realize that every time I picked up my paints, I just wasn't having fun with the process. Like when I was learning how to use my alcohol markers, I fell in love instantly. Even when my results were laughably terrible, I had so much fun making the art. It made me want to keep trying and keep learning and keep pushing to improve my understanding of the material. And now Copics are my go-to because I just understand them. They feel basically effortless to me now. And I could only get there because I had fun learning. But when I try to pick up gouache or watercolor, I just feel stressed. I don't know if it's because of the drying time or the layering or the blending, or if maybe something just has to click in my brain to be able to enjoy this process a bit more. I don't know. I just know that in a world where everyone seems to love and be good at painting, I can't paint worth a damn. And I hope this reaches some of my other non-painters. Maybe you have some paints sitting around that you keep saying you'll get to, even though you just don't want to. Maybe you had good intentions when you bought the paints, but now you have no desire to learn. Maybe I'm just talking to myself here. But there are some amazing things that we can make with dry mediums. My personal favorite is Copic markers, but I also love, crayon, pastel type materials too. I mean, hell, the first real art supply that made me want to keep learning art in the first place was oil pastels. My wife got them for me for my birthday like 2 years ago, and I just loved them. It was like finger painting. And now I have other pastels and crayons that I also love and can use when I want my work to be a bit more loose and expressionistic, a bit more painterly, if you will, without the actual paint. So yeah, that's my short-ish rant about why I'm accepting the fact that I'm a dry media artist rather than a wet media artist. And I think that if you're in that same boat, I encourage you to also just accept it. I'm not saying that I won't ever try painting again. I really hope that I do try it again. Maybe in a year or two I'll have another video explaining what finally clicked and made me love painting. But in the meantime, in a world where joys are few and fleeting, I will not deny myself the pleasure of using the kind of art mediums that let me have some fun. Alright, now let's discuss the medium that I'm using today. As I said at the top, I'm using Conte Paris crayons on Canson Mixed Media paper, and you're watching me figure this medium out for the first time. So I got these crayons for Christmas, and I picked them primarily because I was looking for another dry medium to work with. But the Conte crayons weren't my first pick. What I really wanted were the Caran d'Ache Luminance color pencils set. But the 100 set is over $300, which I thought was just a bit crazy when I have my Prismacolors that also work just fine. But I do hold out hope for those pencils one day. So my second choice was the Conte crayons because I saw other people working with them and they just seemed so fun. You can layer them, mix colors, have washes of colors or precise lines. These are the things that I love most about dry mediums. They layer pretty effortlessly, and I can really build up a piece without, the drying time or the color shift that seems to come with wet mediums. And on first impression, I definitely enjoy working with them. They produce more dust than I was expecting, but I mostly just use the pigment dust to spread the color around the page. I loved the color mixing. I was really able to tone down the vibrancy and coolness of the lemon by just combining 2 or 3 of the colors. And I was able to create some really dynamic shadow colors the same way. The colors mix in a really interesting way too. Like when I mix my Copics, I mostly do it to create an overlay effect or to slightly shift value or temperature. But with the Conte crayons, it was more that I was creating a whole new color. It was different for me and I enjoyed it, but it's definitely something that I'll need some more practice in. Overall, I think that once I get a stronger handle on how to actually use these crayons to their greatest effect, I think that they'll become a staple in my art practice. now with these last finishing touches, we have one completed still life. I hope you enjoyed and were able to get some art making in yourself. Like I said at the top, if you're interested in using this reference, the link to download will be in the description. I also share my art on social media, so you can follow me on Instagram at classickari and on TikTok at itsclassickari. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day and happy creating.